This is James from Cliche Games. I'm here to talk about our game Unbound Endless War and combat. Now, combat occurs when a player moves from a hex that they occupy into a hex their opponent occupies. So in essence, movement is combat. Now, you may remember from an earlier video that your cards contain a number of elements: an attack value, a defense value, and a fuel cost. Well, first we're going to talk about the defense value. The defense value is how much defense each piece or ship has on the hex they occupy. So in this scenario here, our opponent in the upper hex has a total defense of 6. We also have an attack value. The attack value is how much attack each ship moving out of the hex possesses. So in this scenario, the ship in the lower hex will have a total attack of 5, and if you were to try to move into the upper hex, they would lose and go back to that player's reserve. However, if we had 2 ships and the player paid the fuel cost, they would get a total attack of 10. And both ships moving out of that hex into the opponent occupied hex means that the opponent's ship will go back into the reserve, and those pieces will move into that hex. And now it's important to remember, though, is that ties go to the defender, so you really need to overcome that defense value for the hex you're trying to invade. Now here, Brennan's on a hex with a high attack, low defense, and I'm on a hex that has a fuel cost of 1. So I'm going to discard a card, give myself 2 fuel, flip over that card. I've used 1 fuel. I'm going to use 1 more to move into Brennan's hex, and since I have a higher attack than his defense, Brennan loses and his ship goes back to his reserve. Now, there are other scenarios. Say though that your opponent had 4 ships in a hex. Well, that would give them a total defense of 24, and it seems pretty impregnable. Now, the need to remember, though, is that you can attack from multiple directions at any time. You can even attack with more than 4 pieces. What occurs is that, these ships here would have a total attack of 26. You pay the fuel cost to move all 5 of them, and those in the defender's hex would go back to the player's reserve. And because only 4 ships can occupy a hex, you would pick which 4 ships that you're moving and put them into the hex that you just invaded. Now it's my turn, so I'm going to draw 3 cards and hope I have enough cards to move enough ships to overcome Brennan's defense. I do, so I'm going to discard 5 cards, giving me 10 fuel, which gives me just enough fuel to move all my ships. Now, the attack of all 6 ships gives me enough attack to overcome his defense, so Brennan's ships go back to his reserve, and I'm going to pick 4 out of the 6 ships I paid to move into the hex I just invaded.